Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a visual deep dive into a massive, honestly pretty frustrating mystery that affects almost every major city on Earth. We're asking, why do human ambition's grandest projects constantly fall behind schedule? So, really, why do massive projects stagnate? I mean, we've all seen it, right? A shiny new airport, a massive skyscraper, or a high-speed rail line gets announced with a ton of fanfare, only to get bogged down in years or even decades of delays. Today, we're going to reframe how we look at these chronic holdups. We're going to see that these aren't just random accidents or strokes of bad luck. Actually, scratch that. They are highly predictable outcomes. And we're going to investigate the architecture of these failures together. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the grand project paradox, then examine 4 monuments to delay. After that, we'll uncover the hidden root causes, decode a crucial concept called the iron triangle, and finally wrap up with how to build better. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, the Grand Project Paradox. Basically, there's an ultimate conflict between human ambition and the harsh reality of actually getting things done. Large projects are delayed because they are just too complex, too ambitious, or poorly managed. It really is that fundamental. When we build at a massive scale, we're inviting a massive amount of complexity right through the front door. And the delays we see time and time again, they're deeply rooted in how we handle, or how we completely fail to handle, that complexity. We see the same problems repeating across time and geography: lack of money, changing plans, shifting politics, and crazy technical difficulties. Moving on to Section 2, 4 monuments to delay. Let's take the absolutely breathtaking La Sagrada Familia in Spain as our first exhibit. Look at this timeline. Construction kicked off way back in 1882, but because it relied entirely on funding from donations, work simply ground to a halt whenever those funds dried up. Which brings us to the present day. Yeah, it's literally still not finished. It vividly illustrates what happens when grand designs meet really unstable financial foundations over the course of more than a century. And this gives us our first archetype, the funding failure. Uncertain funding, like relying on donations, just slows everything down. It doesn't matter how brilliant the architect is or how badly the public wants the building. The simple, inescapable rule of grand projects is this: if the money stops, the construction stops. Now let's track the timeline of the Berlin-Brandenburg Airport. It was originally planned to open in 2011, but instead it fell into this massive black hole between 2012 and 2019. Now, this wasn't a lack of money, it was a cascading series of technical failures. For instance, the fire system didn't work. And when engineers went in to fix that one system, they ended up breaking others. It's like a giant, terrible puzzle. It wasn't until 2020, 9 years late, that it finally opened its doors. So that brings us to archetype number 2, the technical failure. Poor planning and broken systems create catastrophic chain failures. A modern megaproject is basically a giant interconnected web. A single failure, like that fire system in Berlin, doesn't just sit there in isolation. It triggers a devastating domino effect of delays that can push a project back nearly a decade. Now, what's really fascinating here is the contrast. While mechanical chain reactions totally derailed Germany's airport, Indonesia's massive new capital city, Nusantara, is facing a totally different beast. Here, the immense costs and the ever-present threat of political leadership changes are the main risks. New leaders can step in and completely change priorities overnight, so politics alone can slow down or outright kill a project. Which leads to our final archetype, the economic failure. This is perfectly represented by the Rugyong Hotel in North Korea, which a lot of people dub the Hotel of Doom. Construction on this massive structure was paused for years simply because a severe national economic crisis hit, meaning the country literally ran out of money. When macroeconomic instability strikes, it equals a very long, very hard stop for any grand ambition. All right, Section 3, the hidden root causes. When we map out these iconic structures, it's actually wild how perfectly this matrix of stagnation emerges. You've got La Sagrada Familia mapping right to money through unstable funding, Berlin Airport maps to technical risks thanks to those chain failures, Nusantara City maps to politics because of shifting leadership, and the Rugyong Hotel maps straight to broad economic failure. It's a pattern, clear as day. So, if you want to predict whether that next big infrastructure project in your own city is going to finish on time, you just need to look for these 4 red flags: not enough or unstable money, bad planning or sheer human overconfidence, political or leadership changes, and technical problems. These repeating patterns are the true hidden culprits behind delayed skylines all over the world.
Moving into section 4, the iron triangle.
Okay, this brings us to a really foundational mental model, the iron triangle. This concept demonstrates that you absolutely cannot simultaneously optimize a project to be fast, cheap, and big all at once. And what's cool is this applies to building billion-dollar capital cities just as much as it applies to, say, organizing a kitchen remodel in your own home. Think of this as the inescapable physics of project management. The trade-offs are brutal but true. If you want it fast, it's going to be way more expensive. If you absolutely need it to be cheap, it is for sure going to be slower. And if you want it big, well, it naturally takes more time. You simply cannot have all three. Practically every delay we've talked about today happened because someone, somewhere, thought they could break these rules. Because here's the hard truth. Delays aren't just accidents. They happen because human nature pushes us to be incredibly over-optimistic. We always think we can beat the iron triangle. We think we can build it massive, do it fast, and keep it cheap. But complexity? Complexity always wins in the end.
Which brings us to our final part, section 5, how to build better.
To actually avoid the absolute disasters we just looked at, you have to follow a few key steps. First, plan clearly, using solid timelines to prevent those nasty technical chain reactions. Second, keep the budget realistic so you're respecting the iron triangle. Third, start small and then expand, rather than trying to build an entire megacity on day one. And finally, always prepare backup plans, because politics and economies are inevitably going to shift beneath your feet. I want to leave you with this final thought. Big dreams fail not because they are impossible, but because they are poorly planned. Human ambition is a wonderful thing, but without structure, it just remains forever under construction. So the next time your city announces a shiny, massive billion-dollar development, ask yourself, are they actually respecting the iron triangle, or are they just building our next monument to delay? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the world around you.